Chapter 7, Equations, Lesson 2, Solve and Write Addition Equations. Our content language target. Content students understand that properties can be used to solve and write addition equations. Language target. Students will demonstrate their understanding by writing and solving addition equations using the properties of equality. So the subtraction property of equality is if you subtract the same number from each side of an equation, the two sides remain equal. This works with our numbers. When I subtract 3 from both sides, we still have 2. What we'll look at with algebra today is using a variable. And even if I subtract 2 from both sides, leaving the variable by itself, we still get our solution, which is 1. So when you solve an equation by subtracting the same number from each side of the equation, that means the left side of the equal sign and the right side of the equal sign, you are using the subtraction property of equality. So when we look at our first example of 8 equals x plus 3, to solve this, I'm going to take 8 equals x plus 3, and using the subtraction property of equality, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. By subtracting 3 from both sides, this leaves my variable x by itself. 3 minus 3 is 0, so those cancel out. All I'm left with is x equals 8 minus 3, which is 7, 6, 5. And I can check my solution by putting in that value for x as x. So 8 equals x, which is 5, plus 3. 5 plus 3 is 8, so 8 equals 8. When I look at an extended problem, such as w plus 207 plus 246 equals 682, I do the same thing. I use my subtraction property of equality. So the thing I want to do is I want to get my variable by itself. To do that, I have to subtract each of these numbers. So I'm going to subtract 246 from both sides. When I do this, 682 minus 246, I regroup. 12 minus 6 is 6, 7 minus 4 is 3, 6 minus 2 is 4. I get 436. And the rest of this is the same. W plus 207. This equals 0, so I don't have to add 0 or anything. I just simply leave it off. Now I want to make sure my variable w is by itself, so instead of adding 207, I'm going to subtract 207 from both sides. When I subtract, 16 minus 7 is 9, 2 minus 0 is 2, 4 minus 2 is 2. I get 229 equals W, because 207 minus 207 is 0. It cancels out, and the only thing that's left is W. So let's look at our got it problems. Letter A, C plus 2 equals 5. Use the opposite whenever I have to add. I want to subtract to find the value for C. C plus 2 equals 5. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. 5 minus 2 is 3. 2 minus 2 is 0, so those cancel out. I'm left with C, and C equals 3. Let's look at 6 equals x plus 5. Again, to solve an addition equation, I have to do the opposite, which is subtract. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. This gives me my variable by itself. 5 minus 5 is 0. All that's left is x. 6 minus 5 is 1. And if I put the value up here, 1 plus 5 is 6, so I know that's correct. And the last one. Again, I'm going to subtract 3.5 from both sides. 3.5 minus 3.5 is 0. Those cancel out. I'm left with my variable of y equals 12.75 minus 3.5. Notice that I can add a 0 there to hold that place value and subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. Decimal, decimal, decimal. It's very important we line up our decimals. 3 minus 2 I can't do, so I regroup. 12 minus 3 is 9. So y equals 9.25. So Ruben and Tariq have 245.5 downloaded minutes of music. If Ruben has 132 minutes, how many belong to Tariq? So here we're going to write and solve an addition equation to find how many minutes belong to Tariq. So the first thing I need to know that Ruben and Tariq have together 245.5 minutes. If Ruben has 132, we will need to find how much Tariq has. And I'm going to use W as my variable. So to find out how many minutes Tariq has, I'm going to subtract 132 from both sides. Addition, we need to subtract. So 132 minus 132 is 0. All that's left is my W, my variable. I bring it down. And then I subtract 245.5 minus 132 is 5, decimal, decimal, decimal. 5 minus 2 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So Tariq, which is W, has 113.5 minutes. So let's practice. So here's the first one. C plus 3 equals 6. So again, C is my variable, plus 3 equals 6. I want to get my variable by itself. To do that, I have to do the opposite of add 3, which is to subtract 3 from both sides of my equal sign. 3 minus 3 is 0. I bring down the C. 6 minus 3 is 3. So when I check my solution, is 3 plus 3 6? Yes. Please pause the video to do the next two problems on your own. Number 2 says 9 equals 2 plus x. Again, we want to get our variable by ourselves. So we have 2. That's a positive 2 because there's no subtraction or negative sign in front of it. So we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. 2 minus 2 is 0. I'm left with x equals 9 minus 2, which is 7. So then I check to see if that's right. Is 9 equal 2 plus 7? Yes. So 7 is our value for x. Number 3, 7 plus a equals 9. Again, I want to get my variable by itself, so that means I go to my number here, so I have to subtract 7 from both sides. 7 minus 7 is 0. They cancel out. I'm left with my variable a. 9 minus 7 is 2. So to see if my value is correct, I take 7 plus 2 equals 9. 7, 8, 9. 9 equals 9. So that is yes.